Chest up, shoulders back. This is Revival Fitness, your home for gains and brains. And you can see it on the tank top. You've heard me talk about it over and over again. And a lot of you have left your own comments discussing your transformations and your results. And oftentimes, too, the escape from severe body dysmorphia that comes with bulking. And not just bulking as you hear people use it and they automatically mean dirty, bulking done properly. And I have one heck of a testimonial to show you today. I'm not going to say that this is normal. I would say he is noticeably above average in terms of his results. But I can tell you, if you want to save as much time as possible and nail down your training and your eating, be sure to check out my training programs linked down below, as well as my body composition Bible, full, in-depth, very detailed nutrition guide. You can see testimonials on my site as well. I get so many questions, guys, about training and eating, and I've condensed what I know into these things as much as I possibly can. So I'm telling you, as someone who's been in your shoes in all likelihood, and a lot of you right now have it worse than even I did, you're going to waste a lot of time, not just bulking, but also cutting and training in general, if you're always guessing and just relying on comment sections and random R fitness searches for your information. I made the mistakes so you don't have to. But let's dive into this. This is from our bro Alexander. He messaged me initially August 3rd, 2022, which is going on 3 years ago at this point. My channel was about 2 years old then, I believe. He says, "Hey, I just want to thank you for your amazing content. I used to be terrified of losing my precious skinny abs," something I've been talking about pretty much the entire time I've been on here. "I went through phases where I was starving myself just because I thought I was going to get fat. I was a Greg Doucette fan at the time." Yeah, very common. I get a lot of ex-Greg Doucette viewers over here. He goes on to say that his training was dog shit. He was stuck in novice purgatory. That is one of my Mount Rushmore videos, if you want to call it that. By the way, guys, the intermediate purgatory video, I know I've been talking about that for weeks and weeks now. It's almost done, I promise. Which means another probably month and a half, but it'll be worth it. But he goes on to explain how he made much more progress, and that is a very, very common anecdote that I get from people that discover my channel. I mean, I've got a lot of comments over the years saying people made more gains after they found me within a handful of months than they had in years prior. And even in current coaching clients and consultations and general people that I talk to, even some guys in the gym that will recognize me, I hear the same thing over and over and over. And it was similar to me back in the day too. Once I kind of discovered all of this stuff, I mean, the amount of progress that you can make in a short amount of time, it's mind-blowing. Like, you would never have envisioned it being possible back before you saw the light. And I am not a blind hopium dealer like so many people are when it comes to the natural conversation. I'm not going to just say, "Oh, you can accomplish anything you want naturally if you just work hard and do this and do that." I don't know how far you can go yourself, but I can tell you, once you get all of these things dialed in, you can go farther than you think. I'll tell you what, guys, there is no easier way to handicap your own genetics at whatever level they may be at if you're scared to eat. And you will also do the same if you are scared to train hard. And that is going to come with some aches and pains along the way. There's no way around it, but something that can really help with that from the comfort of home is the Bob and Brad C2 massage gun. The C2 packs a punch. Weighing in at under 1.5 pounds or 0.7 kilograms, this thing has 5 speed settings ranging from 2,000 up to 3,200 RPM, as well as 5 different massage heads that allow you to hit any part of the body how you'd like. So we'll start from the top down, beginning with the traps. And I like to use this double prong head right here. I will start at the upper traps and gradually work down as much as I can. Oh, as you can tell, this works very effectively. Oh my god. I will usually sink into one area that I can feel is the most tight. I'll hit that for a couple minutes or so. If everything seems to be tight, you can start to sort of just paintbrush it and go up and down. So given how round that the shoulders are, I will switch out this attachment, and I like to use the spherical head. This covers a lot of surface area and allows me to hit the entire delt easily. So focus on getting around all of the musculature. So if you start, say, at the front delt, you can go around to the side and then to the rear, and I like to wrap around in this motion. Now, I know a lot of guys will skip legs, but if you train them even remotely regularly, or God forbid, you don't for a long time, then get back, yeah, they're gonna hurt real bad. So for the quads, I like to use the flathead attachment here so I can cover a lot at one time. You also can go smaller if you have a particular part that is really bothering you, but this is my go-to. Something I find with the quads especially, right when you go to that outer part, oh man, it is really sensitive there. Oh, I can barely even talk while I do this. And same applies to the inner quads too, the adductors. Getting right about here, you're gonna feel it. Now, I will also use this head to hit the hamstrings as well. Given the fact that the hamstrings often have a part or two that is very tight, usually in the middle, I will also switch to one of these smaller bullet heads as well. So with the hamstrings, you can lie down prone and then reach down and get them. What I like to do is lie on my back, and then I will just kick my legs up one at a time, maybe using both, and then I can reach down and get the entire surface area of the hamstring. So I like to go in an up and down fashion, just slowly crossing until I hit the entire hamstring. And that brings us to the final part of the body that is a big problem for most people, the low back. So unless you are very, very built, the low back in general is going to be less dense. So I don't like to go for the smaller bullet head attachments. I will opt for something bigger like this one. You can lie prone to hit the low back, or you can simply sit and then reach your arms behind you. And I do a similar motion to the hamstrings here. I like to go up and down, generally speaking. You can also go side to side with the low back, given that it's going to take up more surface area horizontally as well. So the C2 gets the job done. There's no batteries needed. There is a USB-C port that is included, easily charges, and the battery lasts 4 hours. So if you would like to give the Bob and Brad C2 Pro a try, click the link down below and enter code BOBBRADC2 at checkout on Amazon. You're going to get 10% off of your order. So here are the first set of pictures he sent me in 2022. As we talked about with genetics, I mean, I think he is definitely above average. You can see even whenever he was very, very skinny, he still had visible abs, even back then with the pasty skin and the mid-lighting. And he has gotten, it looks like, leaner. He definitely added size. And keep in mind too, in the bottom set of pictures, he's still not very big in any tangible sense in terms of overall muscle mass. But he obviously made a lot of gains. These photos are 1 year apart, so get ready for this. The top pictures, he was 120 pounds. And keep in mind, he is 6 feet tall. And I believe he was the same height then as he is now. He might have grown a little bit because he is a younger guy. Even so, 120 pounds for a post-puberty male is, man, that is beyond a stick figure. I don't even know what to call that. And then in the bottom set of pictures, he was 157 pounds. So in the span of 1 year, he gained 37 pounds, which is about 17 kilograms. He did not lose any definition, including in the abs. And you could call that, you know, as lean of a bulk, I suppose, as it possibly could be. Now, in terms of his nutrition, I don't know the exact meal plan he was following or the macro breakdown. He did send me this. He said from 140 to 160 pounds, which roughly covers what we just saw. He says he was eating 3,200 a day, and then he lists out the other ones too, which we will line up with his current results and where he is today. So that was August of 2022. Now, fast forward to March 2025. All these years later, he reached back out and said, "Hey man, it's been 2.5 years since this picture. Still haven't cut." And this is what he looks like now. Same dude. Looks like a completely different person. But it's not. It's the same guy. But this is the impact that adding significant muscle mass has on your physique. He has not cut this entire time. And we still see, I mean, the guy's got incredibly visible abs, even at this body fat. I mean, you can tell based on sort of the skin texture and the overall puffiness, I would say. I mean, he's probably mid-teens body fat. He still has all of this ab definition. Now, I know for a lot of you watching right now, you're like, what do you mean, bro? I could never possibly gain that much weight in that time frame and keep my abs. I couldn't do that myself either. Whenever I gained a lot of weight from my novice purgatory days, which was low 150s at the lowest point, into my intermediate stage, then into my more advanced stage over the course of a few years, I mean, I did not have visible abs at the peak of my bulks. So as I mentioned, genetically, this dude was dealt a better hand than a lot of us. Compared to some people, I mean, he was dealt a hand that is not even comparable. Like, if you're talking a poker game, some of these guys, if they got their hand, they would just leave the table compared to what this guy got. That's simply how it goes. What can you do? There's no point of really reminiscing on it one way or the other. It's just life, right? But he went from 140 to 205 pounds. 65-pound gain, which in kilograms comes out to 29.5. So you could say essentially 30 kilograms gained. He kept this level of ab definition the entire freaking time. And I don't want to make any bold proclamations here, but a guy like this, realistically, if he decides to pursue bodybuilding at some point, he's probably going to go very far if he sticks with it. So I asked him what his split has been. He says he's been doing upper-lower. Upper-lower wins again. It's hypertrophy focused. He says 6 times. So he goes to the gym 6 times a week. That's another aspect too. I mean, I've talked about many times, a lot of guys can't tolerate going to the gym that often. If you're going to do so, the most common way is push-pull legs, brah. If you're going to do that, you definitely need to keep the overall volume per session relatively capped, which he told me that he is doing. And I still would not advise that as a baseline for the vast majority of people. Some people can get away with that though, not only just the general muscle fatigue, but also the joints and the tendons and the connective tissue. Some guys are just built like tanks, man. They can lift heavy, lift intensely, and do it all the time. Most of us cannot do that. I mean, just for myself, I definitely cannot do that. I mean, I go to the gym 6 days a week. I will be battered in a very short amount of time. I know a lot of you have the same outcome, and a lot of you have tried that too. And even so, I mean, I don't think he necessarily has to do this. If you want to talk to me directly about your own training program or anything else, email me to schedule a consultation call. Fill out the coaching form too if you want some more information on that. But we can get you set up right. But his best deadlift, 475 pounds times 6 reps, 275-pound bench, and he's done Platts squats. I believe that's on the hack squat machine. He's gone up to 390 pounds on that. And then he said he can hip thrust 645 for 12 reps. So one less note on the food. We talked about earlier, he was eating about 3,200 a day from 140 to 160. I would assume there's some variance with that, probably gradually going up. These are like averages. From 160 to 180 pounds, he was eating 3,700 a daily. From 180 to 205, he was eating 4,300 daily. Now he's roughly at 205 pounds. He's currently eating 4,600 to 5,000 daily. I get comments all the time whenever I show my days of eating, and guys just cannot wrap their heads around it. They're like, bro, how are you not obese? You must be lying about how much you're eating. Some guys have it like that. In terms of the metabolic circumstance, I'm similar to him. I can put down amounts of food that even guys who are noticeably bigger than me, they will get fat with. I don't get fat. This guy doesn't get fat. So in terms of the metabolic state, that's another aspect of genetics too. And what you eat overall is going to affect that, undoubtedly. But there are some people, we could be far over what any general calorie calculator is going to tell us to eat, way over even the expected weight gain on, say, a 500 surplus, right? And we are just going to gain weight slowly and steadily. And on the other end, I know a lot of people, if they ate this amount of food, even if they do the exact same training and diet and recovery and all other factors equal, they would gain tons of fat doing this. That is the very unfair part about genetics. Yet again, what are you going to do, man? I've talked about this lately a lot as well. Depending on your metabolic circumstance, you can have much more or much less leeway when it comes to a bulk. Somebody like him, somebody like me, we could eat way beyond any expected amount on paper. We're going to be fine. Other people, you're going to have to walk that line pretty quickly, and depending on your appetite, it may become a tightrope. And if you go over that, you're going to start spilling over. But let's do some rough math here. He went from 120 pounds to 205 pounds. That is 85 pounds gained in total. So let's assume he's been training for about 4 years. The conversation timeline we've had is about 3.5. We can round up to 4. Maybe it's closer to 5. I'm not entirely sure. Let's just say 4. So in the span of 4 years, that is 48 months. 85 divided by 48. He's gained, on average, and this is not going to be linear, this is just the math in the calculator, about 1.8, rounding up, pounds per month. Now, this aligns with what I've talked about in the past as well too, guys. Check out the video in the top corner, how much weight gain on a bulk, because I still hear over and over, you should aim for a pound a week, bro. Even in the most ideal circumstances, you're asking to gain a noticeable amount of fat if you're gaining 1 pound a week. And keep in mind too, that rate of gain, assuming that you are not going to really spill over fat-wise, as you get more experienced, especially into your late intermediate to advanced phase, that's going to noticeably slow down, and that's how it goes. And then the more experienced you get too, the more that your overall body composition is going to improve. So even with myself right now, I'm hovering around 190 pounds still, and I have visible abs, and I am mid-teens body fat. Just over a year ago, whenever I was around the same weight, I was a higher body fat, I did not have visible abs, and I had less muscle mass. So these are all things to consider on your journey. Like I mentioned, to get in contact with me if you want to talk about this in detail. And congrats to our boy here. Just pretty much mogged all of us. Thanks, bro. But this has been it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out my training programs and nutrition guide linked down below. Check out Bob and Brad. They have an excellent range of massage guns. You can take care of these things from the comfort of home. And use my other links to save money on some great products and services. And I will catch you guys next time.